Realtor, sellers sued over alleged oil tank contamination at Burnaby property. I really want to talk about this article today because this is something that when buying an older home, you definitely have to keep in mind and in perspective. So Mrs. Chen says she paid more than $500K to clean up a contamination she claimed came from an underground fuel oil tank at her property she bought on Home Street. Now she's suing her real estate agent as well as the couple who sold her the house. She claims that the underground fuel tank contaminated her property and the property next door. So Mrs. Chen paid more than $500,000 to investigate and clean up petroleum hydrocarbons at her property as well as the property next door. And this is according to a notice of civil claim filed at BC Supreme Court earlier this month. Chen claims the source of the hydrocarbons was a fuel oil tank that had been removed in the 1990s before she bought it. So besides paying for the investigation, Mrs. Chen says that the contamination took a chunk out of the market value of the property that she bought in October 2022 for $1.37 million and sold in January 2023 for $1.165 million. Mrs. Chen is now suing her real estate agent for breach of contract, negligence, and breach of fiduciary duty. Mrs. Chen says that they breached the express or implied terms of the realtor contract by not acting in her best interests, not advising her to get copies of all records associated with the tank, not advising her to do an environmental inspection, and not including a provision in the contract that would protect her from possible future costs associated with the old tank. She said if she was made aware of this prior to purchasing, it would have definitely affected her decision. So Mrs. Chen is suing for damages, the cost of investigation, and cleaning up the contamination, as well as the loss of market value for the property. She's also suing the former homeowners who owned the property before she bought it and had the old tank removed more than 30 years prior. Along with damages, Chen is asking the court to declare 9175 Home Street and the neighboring property contaminated sites under the Environmental Management Act. So Mrs. Chen's allegations have not been proven in court, and none of the defendants have yet filed a response to the claim. The takeaway is, when purchasing an older home, you certainly need to make sure that there is no oil tank, that the site has been decontaminated, and, keep all of this in perspective and certainly consult your real estate agent, as they are the professional helping you.
Real estate